Really
But it is a matter of freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, what is freedom?
Yeah.
Freedom is not being influenced by every
Yeah.
single thing around you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are and you allow other people and things to trigger you over and over and over again, what is that?
There's nothing that makes me want to punch someone more than to be better, Brad.
Or somebody telling you to smile.
I hate that.
Men tell
really
it's
have
a
a hard time
misogynistic
with that.
thing in general. Like for like a lot of time, you're so pretty when you smile, stuff like that. But really, just so I've taken to, I'll say it to my students. You know what you got to do to feel better. They're like, what? I'm like, you just need to smile more, and they all just roll their eyes at me. It's a joke that I have with them, but when someone's in a bad mood, telling them to smile is like, you might as well just say, you know what you should do is a backflip. A backflip will help you feel better. You know, it's like, fuck you. Like, let me process this shit and I'll get over it. Have you known me to stay angry for more than, 2 or 3 weeks? No. No.
3 weeks.
But telling somebody, like, I was in a, we called it junior high back then. I was the last junior high class. After that, they started calling it middle school. But I was in junior high, and I was at a private school. I was a public school kid who started attending a private school, and they hated me. They just was like, I was the outsider, and they were just gonna make me feel terrible about how I dressed, how I looked, how I acted. You can't wear that here because that's not one of our social norms here. You can't wear that here. So halfway through the year, the leader of the pack stopped me in the lunchroom and said, like, I was just throwing my lunch away. She stopped me and goes, "Smile, Jesus loves you." And it was that moment right there that I decided,
You weren't going to be a Christian
we're not
anymore.
the God thing isn't going to happen. Because I'm like, I wanted to punch her in the face. You know what I mean? It makes you want to. I mean, I was 12, so I was not the Zen master you both know.
Yeah.
But I just do you realize you have tortured me psychologically for 6 months now, and you're telling me to smile because Jesus loves me? Fuck you, asshole, I mean, it really did. That whole year really messed with me. Like, my social... I don't really have social anxiety, but I was... I withdrew further and further into, like, solitude, that year. And then I never really came back out of it until I was in my mid-20s. Like, it traumatized me. When I say that to my mom's sort of like, but the school you were zoned for was even worse than that. It was like a rough school. It had a reputation at the time for being a really rough school. And she's like, you were such a sensitive kid. Like, that school was not going to be good for you. And it took me until, it was about a year or two ago when my mom said that to me, when I was just, like, talking trash about the school they sent me to, how terrible it was and all that. She's like, yeah, but, the alternative was the other thing. And I realized that,
It could have been worse.
It could have been worse. Really what it was is, like, I shouldn't be complaining about something that didn't kill me.
That's what you got out of it.
Yeah. Because my mom, I'd sort of been, in the back of my mind, not really like every day going, yeah, those fuckers in 7th grade. I hate, I'm 40 something years old and I'm still hanging on to it. But it was like, it's a childhood trauma.
It affects you, yeah.
And, I realized that I had been sort of, like, myopic about the whole thing. It's like, there was a reason for it. And my parents were just trying to do the right thing for me. They sent my brother to the rough school because my brother, he was one of them.
Lost cause.
My brother was one of them.
What even try at this point?
My brother, in the 5th grade, my brother got sent to the principal's office for the first time. It was the first time he'd ever done it. It's because he got up in class and told his teacher, I'm going to go to the bathroom. She said, okay. He goes, sorry, I got to drain the main vein. And the teacher was like, go to the principal's office. You can't say stuff like that. You're 10. Drain the main vein, like piss. I got to take a piss.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just something a 10-year-old boy says in class. And if you don't tell them not to, they think it's okay. So, and then later that year, he pushed some kid into the urinal and then flushed it. And, he was getting ready to go to the rough school.
The dark side.
The dark side.
You're the light side, I guess.
I was the quiet side. Anyway.
We're making fun of him. He's
Welcome
probably
to
never going to see
Calm
this.
the bleep down.
Yeah.
This week's episode, where we're talking about childhood traumas.
And don't get corona'd.
So, you have a...
I have a little
Is
exercise.
it an action figure exercise?
It's an action figure exercise, yeah.
Talk about childhood traumas. Why do you still have toys, Brad?
I knew my friend Vinny's. One is a piece of junk that I got from someone else. This is all stuff I got from other people.
Yeah.
But I think the pops, who knows? It's like they're sellable, right?
Yeah.
But am I ever going to make the effort to grab the things and take pictures of them and talk to people and sell them? No.
No.
They're just going to
No,
collect
you're not. Even
dust.
though I think you should.
Yes. I need the money. And can we call it a corona economy? Everything's changed. I don't understand the new world.
What does it matter to you? You just stay inside all day anyway.
Right.
You're already...
Nothing.
You self-quarantine on a daily basis.
I have been working from home for like 14
15,
years.
yeah.
I never go anywhere. I shop every other week. This is like everyday life for me.
Right.
It is weird because I have to get up. I don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, but I get up at 5 a.m. every day. Just grab my lunch, leave the house, go to work like a good boy, sit there. I'm not the first one, but I'm there early. I do my morning meditation in my room to set the intention for the day, which is normally ruined by 1 minute after the bell rings. but teenagers, it's like inviting chaos into your like serene area. But we're doing online school, and it's like it is weird. I've actually gone through sort of. I've been restless because I am a person that leaves the house every day, and I like to go out and sit places, even if I'm not.
Socializing.
If I'm not socializing with people, I got my headphones on, sitting at a table, doing some work or whatever. I like to be out, but I've been stuck in the house, and it's just it does take an adjustment.
It's been weird with you being here. It's funny because before I was like, if he was here more, we could get more work done and write and stuff. But then now you're here, and I'm like, what do I do? And then I hear you restless. Vacuum it, whatever, you're doing stuff, and then you're breaking shit.
Yeah, I knocked over a light.
Go back out.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I knocked over a light while I was vacuuming today. Yeah.
It's okay. I broke something the other day too.
Yeah, and by the way, your freak out lasted a lot longer than mine.
Well,
You're
it's not
mean
that
to
it
me
lasted
when you break
longer.
something.
It's that I went to goddamn, and then I was okay.
Yeah.
But you were just like, and then you cleaned it up.
I said, motherfucker.
Oh, I didn't even hear. Oh yeah, I did hear that. I'm just so used to it. I didn't notice.
Yeah. Okay, so what was it? Is this going to help with any of that?
It might actually. Well, I think this is a pretty appropriate exercise for the time that we're in
Being quarantined?
because you can use this for everything. Like you can learn to look at things differently, whatever it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these little dolls, and it can be anything. I just wanted something that you can be judgmental about, something that can, raise judgment. So we got these funky
Can I
little
use
dolls.
Brad?
I can be his totem.
She's ignoring me.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. You want this one or you want that one?
I want this one. Yeah. Unless you want this one.
No, I like this one.
Okay, cool.
Is it bad that even though these aren't mine, I know that this is a Todd McFarlane toy, and that's Spawn and that's Rocket Raccoon, or not Spawn. Sorry, that's Venom.
Yeah,
I was
that's
saying
Venom.
Spawn because of Todd McFarlane.
So what we're going to do is a reactive versus non-reactive observation. Reactive versus non-reactive being.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to try to flip from one to the other. So we're going to start by reactive. So you look at your object, whatever it is. In our case, it's going to be these funky little dolls. And just go to town. Just go to town with judgments, opinions.
In your mind.
In your mind, of course. Just think whatever you want about it and just go to town.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I say non-reactive, try to switch into a meditative, non-dual, non-reactive, non-judgmental, completely clear, just like the spoon exercise where you're just present with the object,
Okay.
without judgment, without analyzing or interpreting or anything like that. And then I'll say judgmental again, and you flip back, judge as you wish, and then we'll go back and forth maybe 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
All right.
So this is just the one thing. Is this?
Yeah, this
breathing
is
just
it.
like a switch. You're trying to flip a
Yeah,
switch.
you're
in the brain.
you're just trying to flip the switch to see.
Are you sure?
Just to feel what it's like.
I think this might help me more if I could do this with Brad. Like look at Brad.
I want to focus on the cat because I have a lot of things to say
You have a lot of issues with the
about
cat.
the cat.
Poor little cat. But he's being very bitey today, actually.
Yeah.
He's being a bit of a jerk today.
Yeah. He needs to get laid.
That's the other thing, like with the smile or be better or you need to get laid.
The cat does need to get laid. He's getting close to 6 months old.
Is he fixed?
Not yet, but he's going
okay.
to be.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
So what is he? What are cats? What the age? Is it 6 years or 7 years?
What I heard is when they're like around 8 months to a year, they're in their teenage years. Is
Yeah,
what I
see,
heard.
he's a preteen
He's a
right
teen,
now.
yeah, preteen.
He's got raging hormones.
Are we doing the exercise or what are we doing?
Yeah. So we.
All right, so
Okay.
start with judgmental,
Okay.
reactive.
Just right now.
Mhm.
Just go right into
Yeah,
it.
just go right into it. And then I'll tell you when to switch. And then move into non-reactive. And go ahead and switch back into reactive. And move back into non-reactive. Did it work? Did it not work?
I don't transition well.
No, you go from calm to raging real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that switch, you got that well-oiled process. That's a well-oiled process.
Well, it's like, how do I...
So
I didn't know how to define non-judgmental. Like, okay, so now it's just plastic. Or, I was even trying to figure out how to be judgmental. Like, oh, there's ribs on it, and maybe it's a little dusty, or I
Okay.
really don't like
So-
this. I don't know.
So when I did this, I
Uh-huh.
started with you had to start in judgmental, right? We started with judgmental. I started thinking about how I think bobbleheads are stupid, and why do people spend money on stupid shit like this, and it's cheaply made anyway. It's just a little piece of plastic, and some people have dozens of these, and what's the point? I'd never, in my childhood, didn't even collect stuff like this. I didn't like stuff like this when I was a kid. I'd never watched cartoons, and it just took me all into that whole thing. And then when you said non-judgmental,
See how the story grew? Like all the way back into like
Yeah.
your childhood.
Yeah.
All of a
Yeah.
sudden, you're like going.
yeah, it's still clicking a little bit while we're talking too. Like we're talking about it now, it's still digging further and further back.
Yeah.
Like, I never read comic books. This comic book thing, I don't give a shit about. I mean, I like entertainment, and I respect the artwork and stuff like that, but I just don't. I've never read a comic book in my life. It's cartoons on paper
Uh-huh.
is the way I sort of think of it, even though I do understand the creativity and artistry really that goes into the whole thing. It's just not been my thing. But then when you said non-judgmental, or I guess at that time was unclear if we were supposed to go in like a meditative state, or if we were supposed to so clear our minds from it, or just start thinking of other stuff. So really I started thinking about the artistry side of things. Like somebody designed this is a beloved
Okay,
character.
no, that's
Yeah.
that's still judgmental.
Yeah,
Actually, that's
okay.
still reactive.
Yeah, so I basically did try to clear my head. I was
Yeah.
like just like almost blurred my vision.
Yes, same thing as with the spoon, where you're just present with the spoon. You're not thinking about what it is or what it's used for. You're not narrating or commenting. Your mind is basically just a blank slate, completely open and unthinking.
You're right. It's hard to remember that even a positive thought about a thing is a judgment on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you, Brad, were not even clear on a difference between judgment and non-judgment? Is that what I'm
Is
understanding?
Brad not clear on something? That's a first.
Well, yeah, because what I did with the spoon was I just went my peripheral vision and didn't really even pay attention to the spoon. And then the focusing on the breathing helped or the breathing out. Because just focusing on breathing didn't help me before, but the focusing on the out. So then I was lost. Like, what kind of thought am I supposed to have? So that's where I was. Right, and I think I got caught up in the analytical part of.
Yeah.
But non-judgmental, judgmental, but you answered the question that even a
It
positive.
might have been better to say reactive versus non-reactive, because basically,
And you said that too.
and because judgment, we kind of think that's most people see it as a negative thing,
Negative, yeah.
but really all thoughts are judgments.
Okay.
All thoughts are reactive. They're coming from somewhere, So so it really was just think whatever you want first, and then switch over to not thinking at all.
I was assuming judgmental meant bad.
Yeah.
And so then I was trying to force bad thoughts, and then I was like,
And
should I
then
be
trying
thinking
to-
good thoughts now? All right.
Hold on,
thoughts.
I've never heard you have to force a bad thought though before.
What?
I've never heard you have to force them. They just come to you naturally.
I normally hold them in, and they leak out like
right,
radiation.
but you've never had to force them. They just you have to force them away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay, so just
so it was yes,
go from thought to no
versus
thought.
no thought.
Okay.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Not negative versus positive, because you're still in the thinking mind.
Right. So I landed on that after about I don't know, halfway into it. I sort of thought, okay, I'm just gonna not, because it's funny how when what we've really been talking about for really since we started our show, one of the things we've landed on is the analytical mind thing, and how the thoughts are if you're trying to quiet your mind to meditate or something, thoughts, good, bad, indifferent, or otherwise, are all getting in the way of it. So sometimes I've noticed when I get euphoric or like manic about something, I've caught myself thinking, okay, you're going down the deep end of like this, like manic behavior isn't good either.
Right.
Necessarily, it's not always positive. So I've meditated to recalibrate myself back to
Neutral.
neutral Beckemeyer, which seems weird because like, but you don't want to say yes to 1,000 things just because you're having a great day, or but I could do this, we could do this, because you really are just setting yourself up for disappointment later. So I've meditated to recalibrate myself back to center.
Right.
This balance, like you were talking. I can't remember which one of us said it, but I think it was you that said the thing about balance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What about you? You probably did it perfectly because you knew what the point of
Well,
it
I tried it before, of course, before we did this, but
yeah.
but the main thing is you can do this with absolutely everything. You can do this with your emotions, and you can practice hundreds of times a day.
Mhm.
Just looking at your computer, first look at it with, allow yourself to think about whatever it is you're thinking about, and then just try to practice the switch, the flipping
Yeah.
on and flipping off, to train yourself to have an on and off switch.
Yeah,
Because there are times when you need to be you need discernment,
Mhm.
not judgment necessarily, but
Mhm.
discernment.
Yeah.
But most of us don't have an off switch, and that's the problem. So
It's
you
the
want to
mindfulness-
be able to train yourself so that you find the off switch, so that when you don't want to be judgmental, or when you want to be in a meditative state, you actually can do that.
But I think this would be really good for things that trigger you. If you know that there's something that triggers you,
Absolutely,
to
yeah.
practice that on it, to so that you can get to a point to where, let me just shut that off,
Yeah.
or at least become aware that something's triggering you, and then you could kind of
Yeah.
It's the mindfulness that we were talking about, last time. Somewhere in there we were talking about it. The creating the space between the stimulus and the response and all that stuff, where it's like becoming aware of your thoughts. You only can do that by more practice. It's
Yeah.
like going to the gym for your brain,
Yeah.
for your mind. Yeah.
I have to. I mean, to be honest, with the cat, I had to do that because because when it first came, it's learning. It has to learn its limits, and I was at a point where I was defensive, and I would come out with, where is the cat? Where is he? He's in the, just expecting him to attack me, and I had to get to a point to where, because the cat will respond. The energy you put out to it, and also if you're like weak or shaky, it's like, is it play? You got to just have intent. So I had to get to a neutral point with the cat to where, all right, we just have a nonverbal agreement that we're not gonna decide what's gonna happen yet. Okay, we're just gonna be in the moment with each other.
Yeah.
So now the cat can jump up. And then, because the cat was getting reactive to thinking that if it was about to do something that I would,
So so you were basically predicting what you were assuming that the cat was gonna bite your ankles every
or
time.
claw me or something, and then I had to get to a point. It's not gonna happen every time. Stop assuming it, because I was creating it. Because then he would get There's a thing where the thing that sometimes the cat wants is the attention or the reaction. So I realized, okay, let me remove the reaction part and just let whatever's happen, Anyway, it's weird, but I had to apply that to the cat because I was judging every time. He's going to stab me.
But don't just stop with the cat, because that's like what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that you're the only one in this group
pervade.
that has to do it.
Yeah.
But your whole story there was like, this is Brad figuring it out a little bit. It's a glorious thing for all of us.
Yes. But that's what, sometimes animals I think Cesar Milan said that, you get the animal you need sometimes, or the animal is there to challenge you. Usually, whatever it is that you're weak on or that you need to be better at, the animal will challenge you to. You know what I'm saying? So the cat definitely challenged me to be just a little bit better. Not better enough to where anyone would notice, but
I'm improving. No one can tell, but I'm improving.
it's always that way with Mike. And I'm like, I'm feeling better, or oh man, I'm furious. He's like, I can't tell.
You seem the same to me.
It's the same to me. Or I'm really sad now. Oh, you look the same to me.
Oh. Trolling you is one of the few joys of having you around all the time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be. I mean, it would be zero fun for me at all. It's already real close.
I don't know why I enjoy it so much. It is weird.
You know how people respond to negative attention?
Is that what it
You know,
is?
like kids, you know how like kids like misbehave so their parent will scold them so that they feel like at least their parent noticed them in that time, yeah.
They'll be bad so that they can get attention.
So is that what's going on here? Is that the underground of this
I'm just
duo?
no, I don't.
It's therapy.
I've never heard him
that's
say
happening
he
here?
enjoyed it so much, but I'm guessing it is. So what am I supposed to do? Stop trolling you so that you don't have negative reinforcement?
No, I'm saying sometimes.
Well, you're definitely a negative influence. There's no doubt about that.
The problem is I like it. I don't know if it's whatever you call that.
It's a
Where you
masochistic.
get masochistic,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Because I could be sad and depressed and just inconsolable, and then he'll insult me or something, or say, and then I will.
You make it sound like
I
Scrooge
did,
McDuck,
right?
But I'm not that.
He'll say something that has a
yeah.
little bit of truth in it, but it's just it's not something that I know he would honestly say. Like, I know he doesn't mean it, but it'll crack me up that he had the balls to say it. And it'll break me out of my negative trance. Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. It's like...
Yeah, I'm probably way out of my depth on this one. We need a real psychiatrist.
Oh, man.
That's interesting, though.
It's probably not really good, but we both enjoy it, so it's like our thing. I don't know. Making fun of me is our joy.
It's hilarious.
Too bad we can't make money.
Really, what it is passive aggressive.
It is.
Maybe.
On
Well,
my
it
part,
is.
Yeah.
So it's somewhat true.
Like, well, I mean, a lot of times it's like.
I think most sarcasm is.
Yeah,
There's always a truth
Yeah.
to it, and I think that's why it's so harmful.
Sometimes it's just a routine. It's like The Odd Couple.
Yeah. It's like,
you're definitely the odd couple, and I mean that. I know that's part of your gimmick too, with some of the work that you do.
Yeah.
But
it's funny she called it work.
I wish we could make money from it. Anyway.
So what is this exercise called?
Reactive versus non-reactive being.
Okay. So it's intended to help people recognize their thoughts, or to recognize...
the way I look at it is, yes, becoming cognizant of the difference between the two, and the fact that you have complete control over it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can practice this. The more you practice, and literally you can practice hundreds and hundreds of times every single day.
I do think that a lot of people, their default mode is reactionary, and if you ask them, why did you bite that guy's head off? Well, he was doing this and doing this. He just made me do it. Like, it just made me, it pushed me there. And, you know, when you push my buttons, you know, it's gonna, and, you know, you don't, so I'm like, analytically, when you pull back from that, because everybody has moments like that where they trigger, like we were talking about triggering. But when you think about it, it's like, so you're just letting that person's weaknesses control you now? Like, you know, and that, in my mind, when I get like that, that's the one that sort of shames me out of it. It's like, oh, that person's acting out, and you're letting that person's insecurities or whatever it is make you, you know, break your promise to yourself, whatever that is. So you're letting that person's weaknesses control you always helps to snap me out of it. And sometimes it's like, you really gonna pull that now, Becca? The weakness is controlling you thing? Because sometimes you really
But it
do.
is a matter of freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, what is freedom?
Yeah.
Freedom is not being influenced by every
Yeah.
single thing around you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are and you allow other people and things to trigger you over and over and over again, what is that?
Yeah.
I mean, you
Right.
are just a puppet walking around letting people push your buttons.
Yeah.
I mean,
One
why
of the-
would you want to be like that?
One of the best
Yeah.
things I've heard recently, I can't remember where I heard it, but someone said it like this. A lot of people think, a lot of us think that true freedom is to be able to do whatever you want whenever you want. But really, true freedom is to have dominion over those things that control you, so you can choose not to do those things.
Yeah.
It's to have sort of like a balance in your life where you choose to do something as opposed to just being like, I don't know, Lord of the Flies or whatever, just running around, just doing whatever, like total chaos. But real freedom, true inner freedom, I
It's
could say
having
spiritual.
choice. I mean, if you want to summarize it, I
yeah.
would summarize it as choice.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have the choice to choose your reaction, not
Mhm.
reaction, response.
response.
I think
yeah.
it's important to distinguish
Yeah.
between those two.
And you're reminding me of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where you one of the things you have to do is you figure out your area of concern, which I guess are things that you need to react.
Things that affect you somehow.
Right,
Yeah.
and then there's area of influence. Okay, the area of concern, which to a lot of us is everything. I mean, everything concerns us. What's going on? But I think the point was to bring your area of concern down to your area of influence, like things you can actually change, like worrying about things you can't change, like the world and
Yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah.
But like your area of influence would be just anything you can affect, change your, I guess, your household. Your
Yeah, you want to
family,
shrink the
friends.
area of concern but grow the area of influence.
Yes, there
Okay.
you go.
Yeah.
And I feel like that exercise can help with that because you can start figuring out
Yeah.
what is, if everything is your area of concern and everything is triggering you, you could just start that exercise and just start, okay, let me get,
Yeah. Okay.
Is that a mindfulness thing? Is that part
Well,
of mindfulness?
I think it's-
meditation. Where does that fit?
Well, earlier this week I was listening to something and somebody said the mindfulness, there's two parts to it. There's mindfully breathing, like we're going to talk about breathing, and then becoming aware that your thoughts have drifted. And that's an interesting way of saying it because normally I just think, oh, mindfulness is like concentrating on your breath, and then when thoughts come in you sort of push them away and return back to breath.
Yep.
But it is also the awareness that your thoughts have crept in, because you could sit there and meditate for 10 minutes and realize, oh, my mind has been wandering for about who knows how long now. How long have I
The
been
definition
daydreaming?
of meditation is twofold.
Yeah.
It is single-minded focus, training your focus, but it is also emptying the mind to that,
Yeah.
getting into that no thought space,
Mhm.
Okay.
so that you can realize that your thoughts are not you.
Mhm.
That's like one of the really important parts of meditation.
So-
Realizing that your thoughts come and go, and they are not you.
Yeah.
So then
So
this
stop
is
identifying with something that is so fleeting that really doesn't
Yeah.
so
say
would,
anything about
would it fall more under a mindfulness exercise because you're being aware of your thoughts, or how being aware of that voice and then taking control? Or, I don't know. I'm trying to label it. Maybe it doesn't need a label.
Maybe I don't think it needs the label. The fewer
Isn't-
labels, the
I'm
better.
judging
the more,
it.
Isms, in my opinion, are not good.
It's
That's a quote. That's a quote from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, isms, in my opinion, are not good. He says it's like John Lennon said, "I don't believe in the Beatles. I only believe in me." You have to
I'm
see the movie to know what I'm talking
confused.
about. All these people that are watching this who've seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. I love the movie, but I guess I was being literal. Like, where's the ism?
Isms
Did I-
like racism, judgments, those things are like not good. Yeah. I used racism as an example,
know.
but all isms.
I was just
you know.
like, when did I say ism? But that wasn't the point you were
Yeah.
making. You're just
Yeah. Again, you
I ruined it.
You ruined it.
you
Again.
ruined it.
I judged the joke and ruined it, and that's the point.
Yeah, stuff like jokes or stories don't always have to have a a literal point to them. Sometimes it's just a humorous anecdote that don't require in-depth analysis. You're supposed to maybe just laugh and move on. You don't have to go, but it doesn't make any sense. You got me. I've spent a lot of time around each other recently.
Explaining a joke is the worst, right?
Right,
I
right.
still don't get it, so I'm completely clueless, but I'm going to let it go.
Right.
Yeah. You got me in the back of my mind. I'm thinking, I'm just not going to tell Brad humorous anecdotes anymore because they never land with him. He's like, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would anybody do that? It's just a story, Brad.
I know.
You got me.
I just, the way my mind works, I wanted someone to have an ism, and then you say the ism thing, and it's related. I just didn't. Anyway.
Judgmentalism.
Okay.
There you go.
Now I got it!
Yeah, part of this whole process is to let go of all the labels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just about me
So,
now.
Yeah. We're back to Brad therapy.
I need to do better.
Just smile more, Brad.
Just remember. Just remember.
I'm trying.
Here's Brad. Here's something that Amy and I were talking about. The idea that there is nothing wrong with you. So many people start trying to meditate because they've decided there's something wrong. I need to calm down. I need to, get my mind right. I'm too anxious. I'm too depressed. There's something wrong with me. Blah, 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 blah. All that stuff. The stories we tell ourselves, and this is going to be a big one for you to get your head around because it's hard.
It is.
It's hard.
He's going to be a tough nut to crack. This
It's
one.
hard for all of us, even me. But there is nothing wrong with you. The idea of meditation is to peel back the layers and sort of uncover that perfect thing inside of you. It's deep down in there somewhere. It's definitely not sitting right. But neither
There is that not helpful thing again.
No.
Right.
But I'm saying, but neither is. It's not sitting here either. It's not sitting here. It's like
That's
it's
true.
in there somewhere.
Yeah.
We just have not yet to peel back the layers to uncover the true self, which is perfect,
Yeah.
divine being.
There you go. You reminded me of, by the way, I don't know if we could do it on the next episode, but at some point I want to talk about all the Joe Dispenza stuff that we're binging on, is it Gaia?
Gaia, yeah. I told you about
Okay.
it too. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't.
What is it? Rewired?
Rewired. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Check it out. It's
so
interesting stuff.
Good. I have to watch every episode like 2 or 3 times and listen to it and just. It's good shit.
Yeah. Gaia is a channel. Since you mentioned it. Gaia is a channel on Amazon Prime that you can subscribe to, like you'd subscribe to HBO Go or something like that.
Yeah.
And they call themselves the Netflix of spirituality. And Joe Dispenza, he's sort of a manifestation, vision. I mean, you could call what he's doing like visualizing your future and stuff like vision board sort of a guy. But
He's a scientist and spiritualist, and he's
Yeah.
sort of trying to merge the two.
he spends a lot of time in his episodes. I mean, he doesn't just say like we do. Meditation works because it works. He goes through and does he's done years and years and years of medical research and
Scanning the
brain while people are meditating, and he's got a lot of data to back up why it works. And the way he presents it, it makes total sense. It's really dense medical stuff. You really do have to pay attention to it. That's why I thought you might like it, because there's a lot of actual data.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's called Rewired on Gaia. It's really interesting.
I was thinking about it because we're talking about change and being better, whatever. You got to rewire your brain, and he breaks it down of, here are ways of, this is how your brain works, and here's how you can rewire it.
Yeah. I mean, let's not forget that this whole positive thinking and improving yourself, it is a part of the process. It's like one of the first steps, because if your thinking is really, really negative, you can't. It's like you can't jump from A to Z in one shot. You have to rewire the negative thinking and retrain yourself to
Yes.
be able to think more positively. But eventually, you want to get to the point.
Well, that's your default.
Yeah, it's that you get to that point where you realize that there was never anything wrong with me to begin with.
That's why they say things like when you're doing a yoga practice or a meditation practice or anything, the hardest part about the thing is just showing up that day. Like if you got to go to the gym or if you want to go for a run, the hardest part is like lacing the shoes up and getting out there. But over time, it becomes your habit or your routine, and then it's not the hardest part anymore. The hardest part is pushing yourself further and further down the road. And it's like the cells in our, like, the scientific statistic that like our bodies are completely different every 7 years. The cells regenerate or die off. I don't know the actual talk, but like, so if you think about it, you can be a completely different person 7 years from now. You can be a completely different person tomorrow, but what happens is the cells, your brain, everything has like genetic muscle memory. Like if you wake up every day with a negative mindset, scarcity mentality, everything's bullshit, nothing works, blah 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 blah.
It reinforces.
You're feeling like I'm talking about you yet? Yeah. no, but like if you go like that, over time, that's what you're gonna wake up and you're gonna naturally feel that way. And then it's like being out of shape. You don't just have to get into shape; you have to snap out of that and then get into shape.
By the way, applying this technique to yourself, looking at yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let me stop being judgmental.
You know what a good exercise would be? Stand in the mirror and do the same thing, looking right at yourself.
That would be a good exercise.
Let's go do it and watch Brad do it.
Let's judge Brad.
No, let's videotape Brad doing this and see what happens.
Yeah, because you have those exercises where you look in the mirror and you go, you tell yourself lovely things like, "Oh, you're beautiful," and blah blah blah. But it could actually be even more difficult, or at least as difficult, to simply look at yourself without any judgment whatsoever.
Any judgment, because that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Yeah, because we are deep down inside perfect beings that we have yet to uncover.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting exercise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
have to try that.
Yeah.
I had a little philosophical weird thing because we're talking about bettering ourselves, but then we're also talking about there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
And then there's like a disconnect of, well, if there's nothing wrong with me, then what is there to improve on?
Oh. I got news for you, Brad. Don't do that. That's not what I'm talking about.
That is the paradox that will solve itself once you get far enough. But that's where you have the steps. Yeah. So you start with self-improvement first, but ultimately you will realize that you didn't need to improve anything.
By the way, I think...
But it's still a necessary step.
It's still that peeling back of layers or getting rid of the filters.
Yeah.
I guess you could think of it like, I don't know, digging for buried treasure. It's down there somewhere, and once you find it, you have it, it's there. But you still have to get to it.
I think part of the answer is that because we're always changing, that you're always okay where you're at. Like if you want to lose weight, whatever weight you're at, you're fine the way you are. Okay, but
yeah, but I don't think it's the physical thing. I think it's an inner thing.
I didn't mean it that way. I meant like...
No, I think
I've been able... Well, let me finish the thought. Okay. I've been able to...
let's interrupt.
I've been
able... what are you trying to say?
I've been able to be okay with myself because every time there's something that I'm like, oh, I don't like this, I want to get better, I'll immediately go to, well, in the future, I will be a better version of myself. So I'm not going to worry about not being perfect with that now, because I know that I'll look back and think, oh, I just didn't know any better back then. So I stopped judging myself now because I look towards the future version of me that's not going to be an issue. So I'm not going to let that bother me now. I don't know if that makes any sense.
As long as you're working towards it and not just
Yeah.
like it's gonna work itself out. It can't be like
No.
it shouldn't
I
be
mean,
like that.
you should be able to feel okay with yourself where you are, and,
Right.
and still want to improve.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those two things are not
It's-
in conflict.
Right.
You know?
It's
They're-
compassion for yourself
right.
and
Yeah.
others.
Yeah.
Yeah. Empathy.
There's no.
I gotta tell you, I started a couple. Not started. I don't know. Like I'm really good at feeling for other people, but not myself. I'm really good and it's not even a skill. It's just something that I like, an emotional intelligence or whatever.
I think most of us are like that.
I am good at feeling for other people when like they have a bad day. Brad's like, well, your day's not worse than mine, so what are you crying about? You know, but yeah, like especially the more time I spend around teenagers, I'm like, God, I remember what that was like, and it feels like they just are raw nerves, teenagers. And if you can just get them to just open up just a little bit and just peel back just a little bit of the wall that moody, angst-ridden teenagers have, like you can really see that they're just like purely human being right now. Pure human being. And but I realized one day through a meditation, I decided that I was going to meditate on my pain, but it was like emotional pain. It wasn't. I was feeling bad or whatever, and I thought, well, let's see what happens here. This is maybe a year ago. And this epiphany did not strike me during the meditation. It was another one of those, like you were talking about. You're sitting there doing dishes or whatever, and it hits you like a lightning bolt. You're like, holy shit. I just realized that meditate on my pain, concentrate on my heart, blah, 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 thinking about it. And then I was still like dwelling on it, for the rest of the day. And it just hit me it said, it's like, oh, you know what? I'm compassionate towards other people. I let people off the hook for everything, but not myself. Like I'm a cold, frigid, hard ass when it comes to myself. I'm better than that. You should be better than that. Don't let that, I'm strict with myself, but like I give everybody else way too much rope and don't give myself any rope, and it's compassion for yourself. Like I realized that I was real good at that with other people, but not me at all. Mm-hmm. And that came from meditation, like 45 years old at that point. Like, you've been a real asshole to yourself for like 45 years. Like it took you this long to realize.
That's an important realization, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are like that. I'm definitely like that too. I have way more compassion for other people, way less judgmental about others than I am about myself.
Yeah. And so the whole "you're perfect" in there somewhere, you just have to peel back. It's a mind fuck for me, as I think it probably is for a lot of us.
The core of you is perfect, but you've got other things.
Thanks, Brad. I'm glad you noticed.
The core
I've been working hard on it.
At the core, we're all perfect. Our soul, spirit, whatever. We were born as a child and then grew into the monstrosities we are today. But I'm joking, but we were perfect as a child. And that
it's
child.
It's not even. I mean, it's so true. That's why it's hilarious. We started out. That's the name of the episode. We started out as children and then grew into the monstrosities we are today.
But the child is still in all of us, and and I think we're all. That's why people buy pops and whatever. I'm just joking with that, but anyways, to get to that, so it's not necessarily the physical.
No, it has nothing to do with the physical.
Right. So there's a pure part of us that there's nothing wrong with that, and so the more we can connect to the pure part of ourselves, the child within us,
the awareness, the consciousness, the
non-judgmental. Like we're saying, babies are. You're not judging. They're like, what is this?
Because really, if you're talking about the non-dual reality of like we're all one thing, how can I be compassionate for you and not myself if we are the same thing?
Yeah.
If we are part of the same living, breathing organism. That right there is why we have like, when I say illness, I don't mean, the spiritual crisis that we're talking about is because some of us, a lot of us, gigantic portion of us are struggling with that very thing. It's like we're all you know, people are trying to heal and all that stuff, and then you got like a majority of people still black and whiting this thing, or writing right, I'm right, you're wrong, pissing contest, I'm okay but you're not okay. That whole thing is like, it's a divide that's causing this that we're talking about.
And I think the internet is probably
Yeah.
worsening that
Yeah.
because there's so much more conflict.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was growing up, the only conflict I had to deal with, the only differing opinions about myself and the world in general, were like the few people that I was surrounded by. And
Yeah.
that was it. And
Or
then you
like
got the
your
daily
parents.
news, but that was, you
Yeah.
know, very, very limited.
Your parent deciding that if they wanted your opinion, they would give it to you. Yeah, that was it. Like
That was
yeah.
it. And now you go online and it's just,
Yeah.
if there are 100 people, you're going to have 100 different opinions, and everyone thinks
Yeah.
that you're wrong.
I think that there's it just in terms of like social, like whatever the social nature of the way things are, is like so many people have convinced themselves that to be an individual means that they don't have to listen to anybody else or to care about your feeling. I'm an individual. Fuck you. You go be an individual and go fuck me. You know, it's like but that's not it. Being an individual, it is different than. That doesn't mean you're an individual. That means you can be an asshole now. It's like, it doesn't mean that. But so many people are stuck on their, like the outrage culture you were talking about. It's not. It is definitely fuel to the flame from like the internet, Twitter, social media in general. You know, it's crazy.
Well, I'm gonna go look in the mirror and figure out what's wrong with me.
That's not.
No.
The opposite of
That's
what you're
part of the
supposed to do.
exercise.
Okay.
Hold on,
You're
we need to
supposed to
talk.
be completely non-judgmental,
right. Okay.
completely free of thought.
See, the cells in your body have
Wow,
that habit.
yeah.
You know.
Right.
That's what I was saying about that, and then we can go. Is
Yeah.
like your cells, like they default to whatever you teach them to be. So they're like, you have
Yes.
sad if you are a sad person or depressed or anxious or whatever. They default to that,
Your body
and
wants.
you have to gradually change that inside of you.
Yes.
And you have to fake it till you make it at first, because your body, you wake up, you're sad
Yeah,
or
like,
whatever, and you wake up today and go,
mantras and
I'm
things
going to be
like
happy
that,
today. Your body,
sticking
yeah, your
positive
body's like,
reinforcement on the mirror. Sometimes you have to do that.
yeah. And because your body is sitting there like, yeah, you do this every day. You're full of shit. We're going to go back to being depressed. over
Yeah.
here.
Your body wants to
Yeah.
do the same thing.
Yeah, body
over
wants
and
to do
over.
the same thing. So, like, over time, you just have to rewire things. And meditation, it's so amazing to me that meditation does that just by meditating. You're not meditating going, okay, positive thought, positive thought, positive thought. You're literally not thinking, and it's happening in the background.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a default state, like a true default state. Joy,
Yeah.
that inner sense of contentment, that really is the default state. So
Yeah.
you just have to peel off the negative stuff to allow that to be there.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I really think that's part of it.
That's some good shit right there.
The end.